One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. And hello, fellows. Herogon here. Today is Tuesday, September 19th of 2023. It's now 8:11 p.m. And as you can see from Sean LeBro's YouTube profile page, Sean LeBro has a new look to him. A new profile picture, and an entirely new logo. It's definitely one heck of a change from his past. If you look right here, this is what his original profile picture looked like. And then compare it to right now. This is definitely quite the change from the old days. Let me tell you that much. Anyways, this week for Funlog Friday / Showcase Saturday goes into the fighting game framework as usual. Now I know people are wishing that there was a bit more variety, but at the moment I'm currently doing this as the main series of sorts. And when exactly would the fighting game part of the devlogs end? Well, it's tough to say for sure. But on the few notes, I do have my own projects I'm certainly trying to work on in the earliest of development stages. Anyways, this week involves the instant block for the fighting game framework. In this particular episode of the week, Sean went over finalizing the instant block mechanic from the Guilty Gear series, tracking all back inputs, standing, crouching, and arrow for instant block, and improving the reliability of the mechanic. Now, for those who might not have seen last week's tutorial, instant block is a particular game mechanic from Guilty Gear that essentially has you being able to have less damage if you perform a block right around the time that one of your opponents tries to attack you. In Mortal Kombat 11, this is called flawless block. It's sort of the same thing. Now, going into the code part, there was definitely a whole lot I had to add. Because I had originally not used the the automatically blocking stuff. So I've got two new functions for start and stopping automatic blocking. And then I've also got another little function here that starts tracking the data for instant blocks, such as the initial frame the input was pressed. Then going into the character.cpp, there's a few things here and there. Going further, there's this is manually blocking boolean that helps to differentiate it from the typical old automatic blocking that most people see in fighting games like Street Fighter. I myself, of course, prefer the manual blocking. So with regards to the stuff here, start automatically blocking has if can move and combo state is equal to none. Then if character state is not equal to crouching and it's not equal to crouch blocking either, our character state is set to blocking, otherwise it's set to crouch blocking. Same with stop manually blocking, which has perform input logic release, if can move and combo state equals E none, we have the new is manually blocking booleans, which are set to true in start manually blocking and set to false in stop manually blocking. We've still got our track block inputs part here with curtic and start frame instant block is equal to -1, and if the num frames until instant block attempt is otherwise not greater than or equal to 0, actually less than, pardon my mix-ups here and there. Then with automatically blocking, it's sort of the same with stop manually blocking, albeit without the perform input logic and the is manually blocking boolean. Then with our new start tracking instant block data, we have ourselves, we track our block inputs to enable spam protection for triggering the instant block, which is a bit more useful in a few spots, particularly with move right, since that's going to be used for automatically blocking. Going further down here, we go into the has released right axis input, and if is facing right. Every time we add a backward input to the buffer of press type input status, and we perform the appropriate logic, we update the data related to instant block and call start tracking instant block data here. Same goes for any of the other spots around, where you have the add the backward input to the buffer and perform appropriate logic comment here. Then and of course it goes into move right controller 2, because both the move right and move right controller are different. Controller obviously being for game controllers, whether that's Xbox or whatever else you might have. And then in receive damage, we've got our usual performed instant block boolean being set to false. And the rest of the stuff here is looking good. Integer maximum frame for instant block equals start frame instant block plus frame window instant block. And do pardon if I don't have much of a script or good explanation. I tend to do these unscripted. So yeah. And going further down in, we've got a whole lot more to go through. And here we are. In tick, we have a few new spots there. We determine if the window for performing an instant block has passed. Invalidate the opportunity for an instant block if so. And of course, we can reduce the number of frames remaining for instant block attempts. That has been there for a little while, at least a week, but I thought it'd be good to show it off right here. And I believe that is pretty much it for the code part. Now, with regards to the blueprint part, there was a few adjustments I had to make due to the whole deal, and I almost forgot. I connected the collided with proximity hitbox node back in. So going back to the Xcode, I'll show you that little function quick. And yeah, not too much has changed. I instead have if is pressing backward and start automatically blocking function here. And that is a bit of the basics there. If you'll excuse me, I need a bit of a drink. Sorry if that sounded a bit too ASMR for any followers of mine. Now going into the ANMBP part, there were a few particular transition events. I've got a new state machine of automatic block using the same block idle and num stun frames being put into the play rate basis, and the transition rules being movement to automatic block having the character state equal to blocking, and automatic block back to idle being not equal to blocking. And of course the manual block is still there, but now it makes use of the is manually blocking boolean alongside the character state, and going back from manual block to idle, it's now the boolean of not is manually blocking. And of course I do have an empty crouch automatic block here just in case, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use that just yet. Then yeah, that's pretty much it for the blueprint part. Going into the gameplay itself, there's plenty of stuff around to see. I always go into versus practice like usual so you can see how the hit boxes and hurt boxes go. I've chosen Adam Mortem like always because I'd say that Adam Mortem is my most developed of this framework so far. I mean, no offense to any others I might have done, but this is definitely it. Now going here, if I can press back, then I can block, and eventually I go back to idle. Then, of course, I can also instant block manually, but of course there is the smaller issue of, well, not being able to release from there if I try to block like this. Now this only happens if I end up releasing early. If I end up just keeping to that for a little while long, then it will go back to idle. Same goes for average old blocking, where you don't have that flawless block advantage or instant block. If I hold it for a long while, it's all okay. But if I decide to do something like this here, and then it'll eventually just be like this for a while, then yeah, that's a bit of a small bug here and there, but otherwise it's been a decent enough week so far. It's been your typical old grind for yours truly, like it's always been for the most part. And that's where I'm going to leave things off at the moment, with this week's Funlog Friday / Showcase Saturday. Credit again goes to Sean the Bro for all of his tutorials. They've been pretty great. And right now he is on the cusp of getting into the rollback netcode deal with fighting games. Of course, for someone like me that's using a Macintosh rather than the Windows stuff, it's gonna take a little while before things are confirmed to be working with Mac. I mean, there's not as much respect for most Mac users, me included, I'd like to think. But that, of course, is probably my own opinion and not everyone else's. Anyways, with all of that, I've been Herogon, you've been you. Thank you for tuning in, and have a hero-tastic time of your life. Goodbye, everyone. I look forward to seeing you guys next time.